Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars. It is the final race before Super Dur Modified Week begins, and that means one last tune-up on 350A Modified Racing to show how good you are a day before qualifying begins at Oswego. We're at the home of the World Finals, the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway, for another edition of Coast to Coast Racing League action. It's week number 8 of the 2025 spring season, and it's Monday Night Madness. Open 358s, Rebels, and Renegades set to take flight. We're glad you could join us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Marty Sacalo with you. Thanks for joining us as we are ready for one exciting week. Super Dur Modified Week is coming up, where we've got one heck of a car count, as well as 75 laps for 358s, 100 at block with the big blocks. The past few years, Super Dur Modified Week used to be at this track, but now that's changed with the help of iRacing putting Oswego in the game last summer. Qualifying is just about set to go here. We got a full field, 24 drivers with us. Let's get this show going here with our open 358s. The first driver out on track will bring the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux, in the 075. Good racing last week for Coast to Coast as we were down at Lanier Raceplex, where checkered flag was given to Joseph Granny after he took the race win. We'll show you how the entire points look like in just a moment, as lap times now being set. Off of turn number 4 comes the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux. 2 laps to set a time. Set your best time. We'll invert the top 4 prior to heat races. Giroux second, 15:88. B-Tep is the quickest driver on track at a 15:86. Templeton, though, caught the wall. This lap, I believe, will be invalidated. Here's Scott Riome in the number 4. He's fourth quickest, 16:05. Comes across the line here. Can he improve on lap 2? Randall Dixon jumps up to third. He's won at this track in the past. Brand new paint job for him. 15:97 for the Bandit. He's off in turn number 4, slower on lap number 2. William Watson, 8th quick, 16:24. Not bad of a lap for him. The Brute to Beast, Jeff Barker, jumps up to 8th. Nice lap for him, 16:234. Sam Bachman, lap 1. 4th quickest in the charts at a 15:97. 20 seconds left in qualifying. Kelly Wheeler now 7th quick in qualifying. Does Riome had a better lap? Off at turn number 4. Does not. 16:024 on lap number 2. Andy Patton's done. That is it for qualifying. Brandon Templeton the quickest at a 15.861. So with that, qualifying is in the books, and we are ready to go for our first heat race of the night. Heat race number 1 brought to you by Gambler Motorsports, an official team of the Coast to Coast Racing League. Here's the starting lineup as Mike Brewer puts the 39 on the pole. The Brew Crew watching tonight. And to his outside, the number 110, that is Kelly Wheeler. Row number 2, it's Sam Bachman in the 007. He is right now the current points leader with drops in effect. Show you the top 5 in a moment. Next to him, it's B-Temp Brandon Templeton, the 31. Row number 3, the Brute to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513 and Glenn Sharp in the 99. Final row, you've got Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. And making his, I believe, his first start with us, Barry Wallace in the 210. Here are the points coming in with the drops in effect. Sam Bachman with a 12-point advantage on the Magic Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. Clay Christopherson is third. He is 34 points behind. Fourth in the standings, Joseph Grandy, 39 back. Dean Reynolds is fifth, 43 back. We'll have to go one extra lap before we take the green flag. If you're watching on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, let us know who you're rooting for. Thanks for joining us. The Magic Ant-Man checking in, Anthony Morano. And if you're new to a night of Coast to Coast action, here's how the night works after qualifying. Heat races, top 4 inverted prior to taking the green flag. It's 8 laps. Normally we take the top 4, but everyone makes it in the show as we've got 24 on the money. If we had over 24, drivers behind the top 4 would go to a 10-lap B main to figure out who the rest would be in the feature. Features tonight are all 30 laps with the exception of Renegades. They are 35. Winner of Heat 1 starts on pole position. Green flag waves. Here we go. Brewer center deep, wasting no time with a slide job for the race lead. Immediately has Kelly Wheeler clear. The 110, though, 3 wide for second. Bachman trying to get the low side to work. Templeton, high, wide, and handsome off of turn number 4. Good battle for second. Edged out by B-Temp at the line. Brandon Templeton, quick time award in qualifying. Now let's see if he can close in on Mike Brewer. You normally want to be starting on pole position here in this heat. The most important heat race of the night, I guess you could consider it. Because if you're on pole, you got a pretty good chance of winning. The eyes are watching from behind Mike Brewer. In B-Temp, Brandon Templeton, 31, catches the wall with the quarter panel for just a moment. Still got Wheeler third, Bachman and Sharp now side by side for the 4th spot. Sharp, nice paint job in that blue 99. Couple of the numbers you see on your screen we've decided to update. Make sure all is ready in time for Super Dirt Modified Week. This is Kelly Wheeler. Right in the middle of the corner, just holding the line compared to the top 2. As Templeton continues to follow Brewer, 3 to go in the heat. Ooh, took a peek on the quarter panel. Here we go. Drag race to the turn number 3. Templeton, slide job for the lead. He's got it. B-Temp out to the point. 2 laps to go. Brewer counters back. Another slider from the 39. He puts it in deep. Templeton with a counter. It looks like Ransomville Speedway's feature all over again between Rudy and Muddy Matt. A little bit of contact made as Brewer hooked Templeton. Beats him hanging on. 3 cars battling for the way with 1 to go. Who starts on pole tonight? Brewer tries. Oh, that doesn't work. That may give Templeton the heat win. He should be able to play defense here. Prevent the slider from coming in. That's the case. Checkers wave. Templeton wins heat 1. Battle for second. Brewer edges out Kelly Wheeler. Bachman 4th. Sharp 5th. Moore 6th. Barker 7th. And Wallace in 8th. Good start to the night here in 358 competition. Heat race number 2 brought to you by Regency Home Inspections. Proud partner of Venom Racing. Scott Zanacker making his return to the series. Starts on the pole in the Venom Racing 143. Next to him, that's Harold Klump driving the number 2. For number 2, the Slide Job, the FTM Express of Scott Riome. I wanted to say Slide Job Express, but that's already Alex Payne's nickname. To his outside, you've got the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux in the 75. Row 3, William Watson in car number 88. Next to him, Bob DeGood racing the 7. Final row here this evening, Bud Molyneux in the 883. And the mayor, Steve Bixler, driving the 75. Scott Zanacker's got that race car that looks a lot like Stuart Friesen. Don't know if he's a Friesen fan or not. Would have to guess so, the way that paint job looks. Go 1 extra lap before we get the green. Anthony's 0 for 1 on heat picks tonight. He's got Bachman in heat 1, who lost that. Heat 2, he's got Klump. Well, we are keeping the notes here, that's for sure. Winner starts on the outside of the front row. Next to Brandon Templeton, we are green. And Harold Klump not getting on the gas one bit. Zanacker checking out of the hotel. I would like to watch a little bit of a replay of that after we get through lap number 2 to see maybe if Zanacker jumped the start a little bit. Because you're supposed to go on the green flag, not by command. We just want to make sure all that's good. Here's Giroux around the outside of William Watson for 4th. Now, it won't tell us here if we went green. Oh, yeah. That looked to be a little bit of a jump. Right on board. Yeah, I don't believe the green lights came on yet. So I don't know if Zanacker will get moved to the back of this one or if he'll maybe suffer a penalty going on in the next week. Meanwhile, we got really sideways, allowing Harold Klump to close it. Either that or Zanacker may have lifted just to allow the field to catch back up to make things make sense. Giroux taking a peek underneath for the 2nd position on Harold Klump as they stay side by side. The dirt track on toll, number 2, still with the edge. The Philly Flyer now sends her deep pass to leave Klump a lane. On the 2 to hang on. Zanacker in the wall. Klump looks underneath, trying to take advantage. He sends it in for the race lead. It's now a 4-car smorgasbord for the point. Klump takes the lead. Zanacker with the counter back. It's 3 wide. Here comes the Philly Flyer. Zanacker and Klump and Riome all make contact. Through goes Giroux. That's just as exciting as watching the Winnipeg Jets win an OT this past weekend. Final lap underway. And it's come to him and Scott Riome. Giroux started in the 4th spot. Watson now 3rd. Klump down to 4th. Zanacker has crashed along with DeGood. We'll watch the replay in a moment. Checkers way for Giroux for 2nd. Riome over Watson. It's an FTM 1-2-3 finish. Klump 4th. Bixler 5th. Molyneux 6th. And Zanacker 7th. Well, I don't think we'll need to do anything on the 143 now, but we'll watch the replay and show you what happened in that accident. Got to get in the iRacing user interface and rewind here. So Zanacker just rode the wall. Caught the wall into good, caught him, and same with his teammate Bud Molyneux. Bixler barely able to avoid danger. That's a tough break for Zanacker, who could have used the invert to his advantage tonight. One more heat race left to go. That's brought to you by Mountain Farm Management, the official sponsor of the Retreads division. The general on the pole, Andy Patton in the 87. Next to him, the jokester, Michael Vitale in the 213. Row number 200 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. And the bandit, Randall Dixon in the 11. Row 3, Dean Reynolds racing the 79. And the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. The final row gives you Butters, Jason Butterfield in the 93. And Putt Putt, Clay Christopherson in the 51. Open 358 brought to you by Venom FTM, the top two teams in modified racing on iRacing. Do not forget, tomorrow night, Super Dirt Week for Honor House begins at Oswego Speedway. We'll have it on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. $10 to enter, 15 for both divisions, 10 for one. If you have not joined yet, you want to. If you're not going to join, feel free to donate still and watch us the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It'll be myself, Zach Chapman, as well as the voice of Cornwall Motor Speedway and Mohawk International Raceway, Robert Hill Jr., one of my good friends as well, one of Dean's good friends. He'll be on the call for that one. We are looking forward to having a ball this week. And just remember, this was all Dean who set this up, and we're glad he did. We're green. Patton did not get the memo. He arrived tardy to class. That drops him down to fourth. Vitale, meanwhile, is gone. Dixon's taking away the second spot. Joseph Grandy moves to third. Here comes Dino for fourth position. Had to look for a moment. That cost him 3 wide with Clay Christopherson in the meet. Grandy's got Patton cleared. Third is his. Now looks to chase down the bandit, Randall Dixon. A lot of lanes being used up here early as Vitale leading by 0.4 of a second down the bandit. Again, he's won here in the past. This is where he won his first, I believe, 358 modified race ever in Coast to Coast. Let's go to the back of the field here. Dino and Putt Putt for sixth. See if Reynolds can slot in line. Still leaves Christopherson a little lane. So got Jason Butterfield riding in the back of this pack. Oh my, 4 wide once again in turn number 3. I wonder if Brandon did that on purpose to let the show break out. Christopherson moves up to 2 spots. We did it once again, but it's very easy to go 4 wide at the dirt track at Charlotte. Dittmer in the wall. And he may have flattened a tire or damaged the rear end, and I think he did. That puts Dittmer down to last tonight. Meanwhile, Vitale in the wall. Randall Dixon trying to take it to school here. 2 laps remain in heat race number 3. Winner starts the inside of row number 2. On board for the back of Michael Vitale. Hits 108 into turn 3. Final lap underway. We'll see who starts the inside of row number 2. Vitale or Dixon. About to find out. Jokester sends her deep. Up the hill he goes. Dixon trying to counter it back. Checkers wave. Give it to Vitale. Dixon second. Grandy third. Patton fourth. Reynolds fifth. Christopherson sixth. Butterfield seventh. And Dittmer eighth. Well, we will step aside, take our first break of the night. When we come back, our first feature on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as warm-ups are finishing up. Brandon Templeton the quickest to 15.96. Trevor Giroux second, 16.02. Dean Reynolds third, 16.16. Scott Rayom fourth, 16.17. And Harold Clump fifth at a 16.18. So everyone coming across the line, finishing their laps here for warm-ups. We are ready to go for our first feature of the evening. And so it's Open 358. It's the final race for the modifieds before Super Dirt Modified Week at Oswego. Let's meet the field and give you your starting lineup. On the pole, B-Town, Brandon Templeton, the 31. Next to him, it's the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux, in the 75. Row number 2, the Jokester, Michael Vitale, in the 213. And Mike Brewer in the 39. Row number 3, Slide Job Scotty, Scott Rayom, in the 4. Next to him, it's Randall Dixon, the Bandit, in the 11. Row 4, also in the 11, Kelly Wheeler in the 110. And William Watson in the 23. Rounding out the top 10, Joseph Grandy in the 518. And Sam Bachman in the 007. Row number 2, Harold Clump in the 2, and the General Andy Patton in the 87. Row 7, Glenn Sharp in the 99, and the Mayor Steve Bixler in the 75. Row 8, Dean Reynolds in the 79. Next to him, it's Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. Row 9, Bud Molyneux in the 883, and Putt Clay Christopherson in the 51. Row number 10, you've got the Bird to Beast Jeff Barker in the 513, and Scott Zenecker in the 143. Final 4 cars on the grid. Jason Butterfield, Butters in the 93, Barry Wallace in the 210, Bob Digger in the 7, and the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Let us know your picks to win here. Anthony Morano hoping this goes flag to flag. Well, you just jinxed it for us, so. Jack Cote, we are doing well, sir. Been a fun day, I guess, if you're up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, celebrating the Jets win Sunday night. Holy moly, what a game that was. Pick to win, give me the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux, to take the checkered flag. And with that, we are just about ready for our Flatline Racing Bodies green flag. Nobody to the rear here for tonight. And so we're ready to take the green flag. First time tonight that it is time to shake and bake. Brandon Templeton, Trevor Giroux are set to bring us to green. Field off at turn number 4. Barney's in command. It's time to get it on. We saw him go 4 wide at one point. Vitale peeks underneath on Templeton for the race lead. Lap number 1 across the stripe goes the 31 of B-Town. Vitale still looking low, and we got problems in the back here. A lot of guys all stacked up. Around goes Brian Moore Sr. No caution waves, and now it does there. Moore went around. Randall Dixon caught a piece of that one. Andy Patton also involved in the 87. Let's go back. Let's watch this check up closely with the 55 and see what happened. This was a mess coming off turn number 4. Ooh, it happened in front with Joseph Granny and Andy Patton and other drivers. Let's get another angle of this here. Watch the General. Turn number. Oh, Dixon was the first to go around. Everybody scattering. Getting on the binders as hard as they can. Right on board with the Bandit. Oh, no, that was what happened. Brewer caught the wall, and he had to check up, and he was the victim in all the spoils. You can see the damage done to the LFM 011. So, we did complete a lap, so we will go... Or won't we? We will go double file. Templeton selected the top here for this restart. He and Vitale share row 1. Row number 2, Trevor Giroux, Scott Rayome. Row 3, Mike Brewer and Callie Wheeler. Sam Bachman, Joseph Grandy. Row 4, Harold Klump and Andy Patton round out the top 10. Templeton has the right to fire first as we come back to the green. Ooh, Vitale may have paid the price there. Scott Rayome says, I want to take second away. Let's see if he can. 3 wide again down the back. The jokester wants it. Mike Brewer wants it as well. 4 abreast off of turn number 4. And now it's down to 3 wide with Wheeler in the middle. The FTM team making that high side work. Here goes slide job Scotty. Takes away the second spot from Michael Vitale. And you saw Giroux on board, had to left. Well, he saw, you heard it too. Giroux trying to counter it back downstairs here. We got Brandon Dittmer around across the line. He pulls onto the pits. We stay under the green flag. 5 laps through. Grandy now in the middle. What a hornet's nest in this pack. Battle right now going on for 4th, if not 5th. So much good action on the track. Grandy again now finds his way around the outside. Mike Brewer, the first one downstairs. He currently rounds out the top 5. And now we'll see if he can grab 4th from the jokester. Trevor Giroux now inching closer to Scott Rayome for P2. On board with him. Counters it back underneath. Rayome shuts the door. Could this give Giroux an opportunity? But Rayome using the slider line that sometimes works here. Back to 5th. Wheeler edged out Brewer for that spot at the line. Bachman, Klump, Grandy all up here too. Meanwhile, a big gap. The top 10 have checked out. Then you got 11 through 20 in a mess. That's led by Clay Christopherson, Bud Molyneux, and everyone else on back. But still Templeton out in front by a half second on Scott Rayome as we have 10 laps complete. A third of the way through here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Grandy trying to counter back and thread the needle. Brewer, though, right there has to think different of it. Now tries to go up the gut 3 wide for 5th. 100 grand, can't get there just yet. Ooh, and he nearly tagged the wall there going across the line. Wheeler, small slide job, allows Grandy to try and diamond 1 and 2. And he's right there, pulls up to the door of the 110. He tries to send it deep. Wheeler has a lane on the top shelf. High, wide, and handsome. The 110 edging out for 5th still. Caution flag waves. We got Butters around in 4. Tough break for Butterfield, racing Andy Patton for position. Round outside the top 15, I'd have to say. Ooh, Glenn Sharp caught him. I think there was a little bit of a checkup going on. We'll have to ride on board with the 93. Let's hear if Dixon or Patton are forced to left. Now, there was contact between Patton and Dixon, and Butterfield saw it, and so he had to left to be safe than sorry. So Butters is the cause of the second caution of the night. To the green again. Don't forget Super Dirt Modified Week coming up beginning tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. So final double file restart coming up here, and again, Templeton selects the top. Watching from the aerial shot as we come back to the green flag. Templeton immediately checks out of the hotel. Scott Rayome second. Brewer all the way downstairs. Look out, Grandy sideways. Contact with Klump. Around goes the 518. Collects an Ecker. Watson around. Someone's lost a wheel. That's Spixler. We're back under yellow. We'll go single file rest of this race. That was pretty much a big one off of turn number 2. Klump just yeeted him. He tried desperately to hang on. Klump was there again. Then there was Zanacker. Watson. Butterfield got caught up. A restart yellow here. We're right on board with a couple of drivers here. William Watson, the first one we'll watch. Nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go. If Klump wasn't there, would have had a chance to save it. To Andy Patton. Who just came in there deep, and man, that's a very hard hit. When you hit a driver like that and the car goes from what, 90 miles an hour immediately to no speed, that's vicious. Very vicious. Butterfield, the final one. Ooh, he tried to crank that car left to avoid it, but he was in danger, and that just made things a little worse for wear. I would have to guess with the second yellow that he was involved in would not have needed the quick repair. We'll go green, then we'll go cross flags, meaning we'll be halfway home in this first feature of the night. Templeton leads, Rayome second, Vitale third, Giroux fourth, Joseph Grandy round out the top 5. Biggest mover right now, Clay Christopherson, up 7 spots. He rides in 11th. Templeton able to hold serve. Now it's Giroux. Drives it down in turn 2 to Diamond. Slide job for the Philly Flyer. Yes, it is. Vitale reads it. He crisscrosses. The Philly Flyer takes P3. See if Vitale says it's time to go to work. But Giroux right there as he tried to go up the hill. Trevor takes away third. And now here comes Rayome. Wants a piece of the action. Can he take the race away from Brandon Templeton? Keeping that gap still consistent at 0.3 of a second. Mike Brewer, meanwhile, has fallen down to 9th after starting 4th. Sam Bachman right in the 8th position. Dean Reynolds also trying to climb up his way up there too. And there you go. We talked about Putt-Putt riding in the 11th spot. He is there in this battle. And it continues to be a hornet's nest. Meanwhile, Rayome stays on the Lexan spoiler of Brandon Templeton. This is off the 31's onboard on the Hammer Down Racing ride. Here are the lap times the last couple of laps. Rayome has been the better car this time. Templeton to pick up some ground here. Let's check how it looks in the line. Here you see it, Rayome 800 slower. And this is allowed as well. The Philly Flyer to close in. He wants the second spot. Here comes Trevor. Now remember, he started in second, lost a spot or two early on in the going. We've got 10 laps remaining here at Charlotte. And this is allowing Brandon to pull away. Rayome to cut off the slider line from Trevor Giroux. Vitale still in this battle too. But we got trouble. Barry Wallace around the 210. He toes it, will stay green. Meanwhile, we were 3 wide. I think it was Joseph Grandy. And how did Grandy get up to 5th? He was involved in that accident. He went around. Apparently, iRacing must not have credited him as being involved in the caution flag. Joseph, if you can hear us, text in chat if you kept your spot or if you used the quick repair. He had to have been able to keep his spot. But 7 laps to go meanwhile. Templeton carrying a half-second lead on Scott Rayome. Whenever he's entered in the race, He's got a car to beat, that's for sure. 2 top 5s on the season for B-Temp in Open 358 competition. Best finish, a 4th at both Lanier and Knoxville. Scotty also looking to come home with a win. His best finish, 2 top 10s on the season. 5 laps to go, and he is still there on Brandon Templeton. It's going to take a mistake, I think, for B-Temp. And Scotty will have a chance. His best finish is 6th at Lernerville last week. Check that, make that 2 weeks ago for Scotty. Drew has 3 podiums, pair of seconds in the 3rd. Here he goes deep on Giroux for 2nd. Who's got the better car, Giroux or Rayome? Across the line, it's Scotty. But Giroux very good in turns 1 and 2, where you can gather bite anywhere and try and pull away. This is where you may want to go in deep. He won't. And at the line, it's still Giroux for 2nd. Now he's got to try and hunt down Brandon Templeton, who is still up a half second with 2 laps to go. The FTM pair will need a yellow if they want a chance on B-Temp. They're both driving into the corner deep. I don't know if it's going to work. Final lap underway. And it's Brandon Templeton, the driver of the Dirt Track Bank Hammer Down Racing, number 31. Down the back chute into turns number 3 and 4. Started on pole. He has led all 30 laps tonight in a masterclass. B-Temp the winner at Charlotte. Rayome 2nd, Giroux 3rd, 4th is Vitale, and 5th, Joseph Grandy. Biggest mover, Clay Christopherson, up 9 to 9th. Margin of victory, 0.8 of a second as Templeton takes the win. 2nd straight win by a non-FTM or Venom driver. Making things definitely interesting, that's for sure. Heartbreak of the night, that's a good question. I'd probably have to say Randall Dixon after starting 6th tonight, finished in 21st. Get your top 3 on in here, and we'll begin with Trevor Giroux finishing in 3rd spot. Trevor, a great race between you and Scott. What more did you and your teammate need for Brandon tonight?
Some more laps, I think. I think we had some bad fast race cars. Maybe needed another 10, 15 laps because I don't know, Brandon would separate a little bit, and then we were discussing lines, me and Scotty, and then we'd find something, catch back up, or B-Temp would make a mistake and we'd be right on him again, and then yeah, so I mean maybe just some more laps, but I tell you what, Marty, this setup we had in these cars, man, this thing was on rails. I felt like, I don't know if I did or not, but I felt like the fastest car on the racetrack all night long. This car was hooked right up, so yeah, I mean, we'll definitely take a podium here, and especially 2 FTM drivers on the podium. So we'll definitely take it. And shout out to Brandon on a great run too.
Was this the baseline setup, or was this a different setup you guys used at Swan?
This is Sam Akonda setup, so it's pretty good. It's shout out to Sam there. He built one hell of a setup here.
Nice, nice. How do you guys feel going into Dirt Week this week?
Pretty confident. I mean, I think at least for myself, it's even, with it being Oswego, it's not my favorite or best track statistically by any means, but I think every single guy on this team that's registered for this race can probably win it. So I mean, as a team, we're feeling pretty good going in, and if we could put a good showing on, and especially for charity and stuff, right? So if we can do that and represent well, we'll definitely be happy.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Well, first and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to Scotty, man. He needed that P2 run there. He had a bad fast race car, and he's a little hard on himself sometimes, I tell him. But he's got the speed and skill to be up here every single race. So shout out to Scotty. Shout out B-Temp for a great run. Vertex Graphics, Dean Reynolds with the Super Dirt Car Series, all my guys at FTM. Great group of guys. Happy to be here. Shout out Venom Racing for going on this deal with us to get this stuff broadcasted. Um, Castleberry Flagstone Expert Installation. Shout out Anthony. I think he was watching, so shout out Anthony. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you, Marty, for broadcasting.
Awesome, man. Well, great job tonight. Great run. We'll talk to you hopefully later this week.
Yes, sir. I hope so. Thank you.
Trevor Giroux finishing in third spot. Well, his Discord name is Scotty is back 44. He really is back on the podium. That's gotta feel good.
And it's been a long time coming. I've struggled with changing hours at work to just it's been a struggle recently, and it just feels good to finally get back up there.
Absolutely does. Were you using a setup that Bachman did or baseline Swan setup?
No, I went with a little bit of a tweak off from Swanee's setup. I didn't run. I ran the Samaconda set in the qualifying in the heat race, and then for this one here, a while back, me and Anthony Morano found this other setup. We just made a couple of adjustments to it. Actually, Dalton Dewart made a couple of adjustments to it, and we found that was really quick here at Charlotte. It's also very, very quick at Oswego, so I'm looking forward to that in the next 3 days. And just went out there, and I had nothing for Brandon. Brandon was in a league of his own there, and Trevor was too kind. He definitely was faster than me, and he was helping me out with the lines. He was trying different things and telling me, relaying them back to me, saying, "Hey, try this," and I'm going to go up here to see if it's quicker. We were just playing around, teammates, and I told him he should have just passed me. I would have passed him, and it's racing. We were pretty much locked into the top 3 there, so. Either way, a second or a third, I would have been happy with the season that I've had on Mondays and Thursdays. I would have been happy with a third. But
who do you want to give shout outs to on the run?
All the guys over there, Full Throttle Motorsports, Dean of Super Dirt Car, DJ Sim Shops, who I don't know if anybody said, and I'm sure he won't mind, but he did have his liver transplant a couple days ago. He was video chatting with all of us last night. He looks great. So hopefully in a month or so we'll have DJ back. So shout out to him. You for doing the broadcast. I don't know if I just said that or not. All the guys at Coast to Coast. I don't know, man. Come out and support the Honor House for the next 3 days if anybody hasn't yet. I'm going to offer up a free entry if anybody wants to do it and get a hold of me. I'll pay their entry. So,
awesome, man.
Thanks again, Marty, for doing all that you do.
We appreciate you entering, man. That's for sure. So, hey, great job tonight, and hopefully we'll talk to you later this week.
All right, Marty. Thank you.
Scott Riome finishing second. Now we go to victory lane. He was dominant tonight. Brandon Templeton taking the win from quick time to fourth in the heat. Starting fourth in the heat to the win. Starting on pole. Just a perfect night for you. How's that feel?
I'll take it for sure. Had a really good setup from Brian Dickens, left over from last season, I think it was, but I could pretty much keep it pinned and keep it straight where I wanted to. And as long as I kept it up just on the edge of the fluff on the top, it was really tough to beat.
Well, it worked out perfectly for you, man. Let me ask you this instead. Obviously this is the last modified race going into Super Dirt Modified Week. I know the track is a little bit similar length, but obviously a lot wider than Oswego. There's maybe some similarities that you can explore.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find some similarities, like you're saying. Like the arc of the corners seems kind of similar, especially on the outside of Oswego. It's like, the same kind of slip angle and same kind of driving style a little bit. But unfortunately, I won't be able to race the next few nights. I'll be busy with kids' activities and sports, but hope everyone supports it and goes out and has a good night.
Well, hey, this was a great win. That's for sure, man. Congratulations. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Thanks to Venom and Full Throttle Motorsports for supporting the series and keeping it going and getting it broadcast. It's really appreciated. Jay with Dirt Track Bank. Check out dirttrack.bank. Extreme Images, Maley's Makery, Big C's Lawn Care. Everyone watching at home, everyone helping out with the league and setting up the charity. I know Dean's been huge in that, so thanks to him for doing all that. It's, it goes to an awesome cause. And thank you, Marty, for putting on the broadcast. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate the time. Congratulations on definitely a great run. That's for sure. Well done. Best luck later tonight.
Thank you.
Beat up the winner here at Charlotte. We'll step aside, take our first break of the night. When we come back, Rebels time, the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion, trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Tonight when we talked about it.
Outpouring of love. It was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
We're back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Now time to get going here for our Rebels. Our Rebels are brought to you by... Rebels are brought to you by our friends of the Salty Dogs. Welcome back, Marty Scalo with you. As our developmental division is set to take shape here. As always in our Rebels division, top 5, pending on IL, are eligible to move up. And last week we had our first winner of the season that was not named Anthony Morano. Sorry, Ant-Man. And that was our Open 350 winner a couple minutes ago, Brandon Templeton, in the 31 in his second start of the season. These are the points right now with the drops. Morano right now with a 40-point lead on Stephen Fernberg still. Brian Moore Sr. is third, 50 points back. Gary Offord fourth, 70 back. Gary Taylor missed the race last week, fifth, 117 points behind. So with that, we are ready for qualifying. And Mother Nature is not liking where I live right now because we just got a thunder, big strike of thunder. Fernberg, 29, first driver out on the track. We will watch him here for his lap. Sometimes the warm-up laps will always be the first ones to come in. Lap number 1 for Fernberg, went 12.76. Gary Taylor second, 12.868. Zach Chapman, quickest in sector 2. Quick time at a 12.737 for Shaggy. We'll watch his second lap here. Fernberg off by 300ths. Chapman driving deep through 3 and 4. Quicker in sector 2. Better! 12.677 for Shaggy. Here's William Watson in the number 23 Jack Daniels ride. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as Gentleman William. That's Gentleman Jack. Watson third on lap 1, 12.766. This is, I believe, the final driver to qualify here as Watson comes off for turn number 4. He is slower, 12.797. So that'll do it for qualifying. Zach Chapman the quickest, 12.677. Stephen Fernberg second, 12.755. William Watson third, 12.766. Slide Job Scotty fourth, 12.803. Steve Bixler, 5th. He's got a 12.831 with Brian Moore at 6th, 12.849. 7th, Steve Maurer, 12.856, while Gary Taylor is shotgun at a 12.868. But, I mean, 2/10 between the quickest driver and the slowest. That's really good. So, give it some time here before we go green. Don't forget Super Dirt Modified Week coming up tomorrow. Will last through Saturday on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. You haven't enjoyed it yet? $10 for one division, $15 for both. Don't miss out on it. So ready for Heat 1, brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. Here's the lineup. Steve Maurer on the pole, the 888. Next to him, the Mayor Steve Bixler, the 75. Row 2, William Watson, the 23. And Shaggy Zach Chapman, the 72. Final car on the grid, Putt Clay Christopherson, the 51. Green flag is out. Heat race number 1 underway. Winner starts on the pole. Maurer and Bixler wing to wing into turn number 3. 75 car with the advantage. Zach Chapman wasting no time. Already up 2 spots to second. And he's going right after the Mayor for the race lead. Chapman sensor. Slide job. Shaggy for the race lead. Ooh. Maurer around. Look out, Clay. You knew that was going to be bad. Clay is gone. Maurer, I don't know why at this point you'd try and keep her going. That car is destroyed. We got 3 cars left in this heat race. Chapman and Bixler side by side. Yeah, Maurer pulls it off the track. Steve trying to stay in this fight. Give him credit for that. On board with the Mayor. Watson underneath him for second. Ooh, careful, Steve. Watson hanging on for right now. While Shaggy's pulled away to a 7/10 of a second lead. Don't forget, he's going to be in the booth with us Tuesday through Thursday. I'll be on the call for Tuesday. I will not make it Wednesday, but as of right now, I'll be able to make it on Thursday looking at my schedule. Final lap underway in Heat 1. Watson second, Bixler third. Maurer and Christopherson DNF. Here comes Shaggy off turn number 4. Chapman of the Checkers wins heat 1, and it's on the pole. Watson second, Bixler third, Maurer fourth, Christofferson fifth. See who's checking in here in the chat. Chad's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I would say I'm sorry, but at the same time, I would say I'm not sorry, but at the same time, you would try and roast me back because our two teams are enemies, the Sabres and the Maple Leafs. But go Cats! Austin Matthews cost us the Four Nations this season. So Heat 2, moving on. Brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. Just 4 drivers. Everyone inverted here in this heat race. The captain, Gary Taylor, on pole. Next to him, Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. And in row 2, Scott Riome, slide job, Scotty in the 4. No call for Steven Fernberg on the grid. Actually, Steven is right there. He is starting from the pits. I am interested to see if Steven is going to try and see if he can pass a car or two in this. So 3 cars will take the green for Regency Heat 2.
Green flag, green flag.
Taylor, oh boy, nearly made contact with Brian Moore Sr. 55 car trying to come out with the advantage, but Gary's, oh boy, there was some neck code, and now contact. Taylor puts Moore in the wall. And so Rayon moves up to second, so Steven will get his good wishes and will actually pass a car. I don't know if third is his just yet. I wonder if Scott's just going to play it safe and just follow the captain. Rayon much quicker, 12.93 to a Taylor 13 even. Halfway home, 4 up and 4 down. Fernberg now the quickest car in the 3rd spot. But he is nearly half a track behind though. I wonder if he started and forgot to add fuel and had to pull back. Rayon looking for the lead on Gary Taylor. Two laps remain. Go on board here with the 4 car. White flag is out. Taylor up by a half second on Scott Riome. Kicks some dust up. And it looks like the captain, with some consistent laps, starting on pole to the Checkers, wins Heat 2 and is on the front row tonight. Riome second and Fernberg third. With Moore fourth. So we'll step aside, go to break. When we come back, feature time with the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Warm-ups continuing here and wrapping up with the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Steven Fernberg the quickest at a 12.938. Zach Chapman second, 12.99. Brian Moore Sr. third, 13.09. Scott Riom fourth, 13.09. And Steve Maurer fifth at a 13.18. So checkers now wave here on the warm-ups. So we are ready to go for our second feature of the night. Here is your starting lineup. On the pole, Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Next to him, it's the captain, Gary Taylor, in the 34. Row 2, William Watson in the 23 machine. And to his outside, Scott Riom, slide job Scotty, in the 4. Row number 3, the mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75, and Steven Fernberg in the 29. Row 4, Steve Maurer in the 888, and Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. Final car on the grid, Putt-Putt, Clay Christopherson in the 51. Field rolling off here for their 2 pace laps. I got Zach Chapman win tonight. What do you think is going to win? Let us know in the chat. So we're moments away from taking the Flatline Racing Bodies green flag here. Steve King Foundation Pace Truck is on pit road. Well, for the second time tonight, it is time to shake and bake. Shaggy and the captain. That should be a new sitcom name. Off for turn 4. Time to get it on at Charlotte. Chapman with the lead off at turn number 2. Watson second. Here comes Bixler. Peeks underneath on the Jack Daniels 23. Lap 1 is led by Shaggy. Ooh, Bixler now trying to show his nose underneath on the 23. Saying we already got a Jack in here. Riom fourth. Maurer rounding out the top 5. Should mention too, I believe we did have a penalty. Actually, no, we did not have a penalty from the Rebels event. Couple of drivers trying some sliders and in between. Bixler still fighting for third. Now Riom tries to thread the needle, but he had to left there to avoid hitting Watson. But 23 hanging on to second still. Don't forget top 5, pending IL, eligible to transfer up to Renegades. Final spot belongs to Clay Christopherson for now, but Steve Maurer wants the 5th position. And same with Steven Fernberg. Contact! Fernberg, Maurer, both barrel rolling in turn number 3. Side over side, end over end. My oh my, what a flip. And Fernberg, the potential contender to win this championship, is involved. They just hooked, both caught air, and look at this. A bunch of disastrous sidewinders. Right on board with Fernberg. to get our camera a couple times. Chapman and Watson, row 1. Bixler on row 2. Christopherson round out the top 5. Chapman selects the bottom. We're back to green. Chapman able to hold serve. Bixler wants second for the 23 car. Won't work out just yet. But Bixler has to deal with Slide Job Scotty for the bounce up of the podium. And now look who's moved up to 5th. Brian Moore Sr., after he got put in the wall by Gary Taylor in the heat race, has made his way back up. Let's see if he can get 4th spot for the mayor. Moore is up to 4th. And now Rayon wants 2nd from Watson. Takes a crack at it. Ooh, tried for the slider, didn't work. Now up the hill went Rayon, trying to clear Watson, but could not do so. So the 72, Zach Chapman still leads after 11 laps. The gap just about a second on Watson. Rayon, Moore, and Bixler, your top 5 cars. Moore tried once again on Rayon. And Bixler's got company for that final spot in the Renegade Show. Christopherson and Gary Taylor. Gary, by the way, lost the front wing at the start of this one. That's why he moved to the back. Oh, Watson! Rayon gets sideways. Through goes Brian Moore Sr. 2-for-1 discount up to 2nd. And now we go back to 5th. Everyone is closing in on each other. Zach Chapman, you got no idea what you're missing, my friend. Because drivers from 2nd through 8th are legit in one pack. Cross flags up. Zach's increased the lead. Oh, Christopherson goes around. Caution flag waves here for the 2nd time. Ooh, Fernberg eated him. On board. So we'll go double file for the final time tonight. We'll watch this from the aerial shot as we begin the 2nd half of this race. Ready for the restart. Ooh, man, driver's trying to get a jump here. Chapman going a little later than normal. And he saw the 4th place Rayom car had to left to avoid bumping more out of the way. Oh, look at this! You gotta be kidding me! Big time contact for Chapman. Taylor eats Maurer. Around they go. Through goes Scott Rayom to the lead. What the hell just happened? See what happened? Moore took a shot and Chapman tried to shut the door. And Moore luckily saved it, but the front wing you can see bent a little bit. But this is the price that Zach Chapman pays here, right on board. Right on board, Steve Maurer. Well, this race has taken a turn, has it? Zach says he ran that lane all race long. So we'll go single file for the rest of this race with Scott Rayom now leading this. Steven Fernberg, after starting in the back now and flipping a boatload of times, is second. Watson third, Bixler fourth, and Christofferson is fifth.
Green flag, green flag.
So Rayom able to hold serve. Fernberg staying put in second. Watson third. Now the race for fifth. Christofferson with the final spot in for right now. Moore trying underneath now. Chapman, he is hungry. He is angry, that's for sure. They were nearly 4 wide. Clay looked for a red. Now Bixler underneath on putt for the spot. See if the slide job works. They nearly touch. 9 laps to go. Ooh, contact between Chapman and Moore once again. Remember, they were going for the lead. Oh, no! Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. With 7 laps to go. Clay up 5 spots now, looking for the bottom step of the podium. Can it go up 6 on Watson? He was the hard charger as well, the open 358s. Watson wants it back though, but he can't make the slide job work. 6 laps remaining. Chapman now wants more. This is for 5th on Steve Bixler. Nice slider from the 72. Bixler can't do it there. Meanwhile, up front, 4 laps to go. Rayom still leading on Steven Fernberg. Now, I want to go look into the stats. I know we obviously know that Rayom has won in coast to coast. But I don't believe he has ever won in the Rebels division. And I believe he made the starts in the Rebels because he was looking for the bounty on Anthony Morano. He is keeping that gap consistent. White flag waves, final lap is underway. This is his 6th ever Rebel start. He's down the back chute for the final time. And through 3 and 4, Fernberg looks for one final shot to the checkered flags, but we've got a first-time sprint car winner. His name is Scott Rayome. Fernberg second, Christofferson third, Chapman fourth, and Watson fifth. Christofferson, biggest mover, up 6 spots. Okay, now our top 3 drivers in here. I don't think Christofferson's got a mic, so we'll go right to second spot, Steven Fernberg. Steven, you probably went from the wildest ride you've ever had in Coast to Coast to second. What a comeback.
Yeah, that was pretty rough there. Just a racing deal, but it was violent, I can tell you that.
Absolutely was. Where did your car feel good tonight?
What was that, Marty?
What did your car feel good tonight?
Started to feel good right there towards the end. Like, I was really tight on the top. Like, every time I'd go into the top, it would just get tight on me.
What positives do you take away out of this run?
Just stay consistent, just stay patient. That's what that was there at the end. I was just being patient.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
I'd like to thank all my sponsors over at All American Motorsports. You for putting on the broadcast and everything you guys here at Coast to Coast do.
Alrighty. We'll let you go. Great job tonight. Congratulations on a good run. Best of luck in Renegades.
All right, thank you.
And it sounds like we do have Clay with us. Clay, your mic working?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Nice run tonight. I don't know what it is with you and hard chargers, but it's working out pretty well for you.
Yeah, the car felt good. Just not really too many places to go after that top opened up. It was pretty dominant halfway on.
Where did you feel your car was good, though, the most?
So when I started on the top, it was the most consistent up there. I wish the bottom or middle was a little faster than it was, but you could get it on restarts, but that was about it.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
You guys for putting this on, all the guys at FTM and Swad Speed Shop for 358 and big block sets.
Well, we will let you go. Congratulations on the run, and hopefully we'll see you in Renegades.
Thank you.
So there's Putt Putt finishing second, and now we go to talk to your winner, Scott Rayome. First ever win a sprint car, buddy. How's that feel?
Well, I just slammed 2 beers together and I dumped them over my head.
Hell yeah!
Unfortunately, they were glass bottles, so now I got a big mouth.
That's the highlight of the night.
Guys down there, I'm like, if somebody would have told me my first win this season, my first sticker for the season was going to come in a 360 sprint car, I would have told you guys are smoking Shaggy shit, because there ain't no way. I don't know what I'm doing in these things, man. So I am like, I haven't stopped smiling. Dino's been, pumping me up. Dino's been very helpful to get me to run these things, and in my ear, helping me get through everything, and like figure out how to run these. And so I'm at a loss for words, honestly. This is really cool for me. So I'm beyond happy.
Well, we know how you're celebrating tonight, that's for sure. But who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Well, first I wouldn't be here. I was maybe a 3rd place car, 4th place car, but the incident that happened for Shaggy sucks. I think Shaggy was the car to beat. So I mean, sometimes it's better to be the windshield than the bug, if you know what I mean.
Go.
So I got to thank all those guys over at Full Throttle Motorsports. Obviously, Dino at Super Dirt Car Series, Clay for this setup. I mean, he sent me this. He's like, just fucking hold it. Or I'm sorry, just hold it wide open, man. He's like, just hold it wide open. Don't even lift. So I really, that's what I was doing. I was just telling. I was just saying, all I did was just I wanted to keep that right rear in the fluff all the way around, and I can't remember who made this wrap for me a couple years ago. I was just telling Dino, I'm like, yeah, I probably should reach out. If I'm going to keep running these, I got to get a new wrap for this. But you for doing the broadcast, Coast to Coast for giving us a place to race, Gunner at Swan Speed Shop for all your 358 big block sets, and anybody that's watching out there, I said it in the last race. I want to sponsor somebody just to, go out there and run this charity race that we got coming up next 3 days. So anybody that's not in there that wants to get in there and doesn't want to spend the money, just shoot me a message on Discord and I'll pay your way in, and courtesy of Full Throttle Motorsports. So,
All right, man. Congratulations on the win. Please run Renegades, dang it. Please run Renegades. You'll love it.
I'll be there.
Yes.
I'll be there.
Yes, he's doing it. He's doing it. Yes. Even while on beer. Congratulations, man. Enjoy it.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, thank you, man.
Scott Rayone, first-time winner in the Rebels. We will go to break. Stay with us in the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Gets on the champion, trying to be a
Bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Tonight we'll be talking about it.
outpouring of love. It was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, we're ready for our final race of the night. And, of course, it is our Renegades division and the Renegades, brought to you by our friends at Flatline Racing Bodies. Nice car count with us tonight at 22 drivers. Again, if you're watching, let us know who you're rooting for. Cote is have to see Fernberg have his second place run. And Hollow checking in. Hope you're doing well. In case you missed us last week, some wild racing once again, the Renegades division, and taking home the win. Just gotta double check my notes because last week feels like a long time ago. Excuse me. It was a great performance by Rick Mayne, picking up his first win of the season and his third start on the year. Points look like this with the drops. Blake Chapman, a 31-point lead on Anthony Morano, with Joseph Grandy third, 48 back. Patrick Spengler fourth, 53 behind, and Chad Cote fifth, 72 back. Qualifying underway now. Check the first driver to watch here on the track. I believe we'll start things off with Brandon Dittmer, the Spider Monkey, who's got... Oh, the Isaac scheme is back! I hope he has a funny scheme for Super Dirt Modified Week this week. Isaac, if you're watching, hi. Look at that boy. Joseph Grandy, though, quickest car on the track, 13.756. Now that belongs to Zach Chapman. At a 13.660, Rick Mayne second, 13.701. Stephen Golder, quick time, 13.566 in the number 30. As that time start to get lower and lower. Going a little slower that time through. Chapman done with his lap. Same with Rick Mayne. And Dean Reynolds. Blake Chapman third on lap 1. 1.3682 for Blake Chapman, 13.682. Chapman driving in deep through in turn number 3. Oh, look at this! Oh, second quick, 13.594. He was green in sector 1. I thought he was going to get it. But look at the lap time for Stephen Goldner. 13.594. Just better by a couple hundredths. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. 13.594. Patrick Spangler, third quick in qualifying, 13:66. Jesse Bandy, eighth quick in qualifying. Here's William Watson working on lap number 2. His first lap time, 14:069. Ross Carina putting up a lap here. His lap 1 time. Quick time! 13.531. That is 300ths better that time. And Ross Carina, the boss, is on the pole for tonight. So Carina quickest in a 22-car field, 13:53. Stephen Goldner second, 13:566. Blake Chapman third at a 13:594. Patrick Spangler fourth, 13:655. And Zach Chapman fifth, 13:660. So with that, qualifying is wrapped up. Don't forget, Super Dirt Modified Week begins tomorrow at 7 p.m. on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Night number 1, qualifying night. We'll have time trials in which the top 6 will transfer. Provisional races are going on later, and then we have 3 heats where the top 6 from each heat transfer into the show. So ready for Heat 1? And that is brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. Here is how the field lines up. The general on the pole, Andy Patton in car number 87. Next to him, it's the 518 of 100 grand, Joseph Grandy. Row number 2, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39. And next to him, Ross the Boss Carina in the 10. Row 3, Steven Fernberg racing the 29. And to his outside, John Short in the 51. Final row this evening, Scott Rayholm, Slide Job Scotty in the 4, and Putt Putt Clay Christopherson in the 51. As always, Hollow rooting for the Goose. Chad Cote will be in a heat later on tonight. Let's wait for 2 more drivers to grid up, Joseph Grandy and John Short. Then we'll get things going here. A little more on Super Dirt Modified Week and how the format works. We talked about tomorrow. Let's talk about Wednesday and Thursday as well. Wednesday is when our B-Main and pole scrambles are. Now, the pole scramble is something that is exclusive to Coast to Coast. You don't see this in real life normally. But you've got the B-Main and the pole scramble. And then Thursday night we'll have our LCQs, driver intros, and championship features. 75 laps for 358s and 100 laps for the big blocks. One lap till we take the green flag. Everyone makes it into the show with a winner on pole for tonight. All right, here we go. First heat race set to go. Who's going to start on pole for the 35-lap feature? We're green. Andy Patton, nice jump through 1 and 2. Takes the early lead. Slides up by Ross Carina. The boss already up 3 spots in the opening lap. Get out of here. Ross leads lap number 1. Here comes Patton trying to slide job his own way. That doesn't work though. Forced to tuck in line, but a mail out John Short to get around the outside. 51 car wants the second spot. It's his. They stay wing to wing through 1 and 2. Now for fourth, Spangler against Christofferson. The 5'8", the 51 has already passed 3 drivers. Putt now still trying to fight back on the 39. Spangler ripping the cushion through 1 and 2. Fourth spot looks to be his, and it is. Meanwhile, just look at these laps by the boss. 13:57. Last time by 13:85 for everyone else at least. That time it was a 13:74, short to the 13:85, so he picked up a 1/10 of a second there. Other good battles on track. Rayome and Fernberg, your top 2 out of the Rebels feature, battling for 6th on the track. We got no call from grade to grid, for those wondering. So Corinna still leading this one. Oh, actually, that's it. Checkers waved, and Spangler, for those wondering, did crash after that. Show you the full replay in just a moment on how that happened. Here's a look. Ooh, too low. Oh! Pancaked the Uke tire. Now moving on to Heat 2, brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. And the starting lineup has Dean Reynolds on the pole in the 79. Next to him, the Goose Jack Cote racing the 11. Row number 2, Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72 and Stephen Goldner in the 30. Row 3, William Watson in the 23 and Gentleman Jack Hitt in the 217. Final car on the grid, Bob DeGood back in the victory field, number 7. Dino already trying to get his wheelies worked out. So winner starts the outside of the front row as we're ready to go green.
Green, green, green.
Good jump from Dean Reynolds. Immediately has Chad Cote clear. Here comes Zach Chapman on Stephen Goldner, the battle for third. Ooh, Cote, some sparks fly off the 11. Could allow Stephen Goldner to close it just a bit. Here comes the Goose. Ooh, try for the slider line. Allows Dean to have the top still. Now slots in front of Stephen Goldner for now. Goldner now looking to diamond through 1 and 2. Stephen trying to send it there. Doesn't work. Zach Chapman still fourth. Watson still fifth. Of course, we're watching the race for the lead between Dino and Chad. Oh, Dino caught the wall 1 and 2. Cote lifts. Now he takes the peek downstairs. Easy chance to go for the slider here if you're Chad Cote. Dino's got a steering problem with the 79. He caught the wall once again. Fell down to 30. Yeah, he's lost the steering. He has lost the steering in that car. But now watch Steven Golder. Cote catches the wall. He lets the sparks fly. Near contact made as Cote chastains it. With 2 to go. Oh, this is Steven's chance to pounce. Big L sideways off for turn 2. But it helps him out. Throw the slide job. Golder to the race lead. 1 lap to go. Cote slider. If he clears, he could try and defend through 3 and 4. But Golder's got a big run through turn number 3. Who started on the front row? Steven up the hill. Catches the wall. Golder takes the win. Oh, baby. Cote second, and Dino with the steering damage is third. Chapman fourth, Watson fit to good sixth, hit seventh. We now move on to Heat 3, brought to you by Maurer Farm Management, final heat race of the night. It's the Pink Panther on the pole. Jesse Atkinson in the 127 to his outside. The Bandy Built Master, Jesse Bandy in the 49. Row 2, Rick Main in the 187. And to the outside, the salesman, Blake Jim in the 20, but we expect him to start from the back. Row 3, the Bird to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. And Brandon Dittmer, the Spider Monkey, in the 83. Final car in the grid, Barry Goldner tonight in the 36. So we're ready to go green for the final heat race of the night. Winner starts the inside of row number 2. Atkinson, Bandy, the Jesse row. Bring us to green. Lap 1 at the line, led by Jesse Atkinson. Bandy trying to rip the lip here off at turn number 2. Atkinson trying the slider. He caught the Tory tire. And he's lost the left front. Oh, look out. Barker gets through Rick, made it upside down. Goes to 36. So Bandy, man out in front, quickest car right now with a 1 second lead on Brandon Dittmer. 1387 to a 1417. If Roscorin's got a challenger tonight, it could be this man right now from my perspective. And now we just lost Rick Main too. What in the world is happening? It's now down to Jesse and Brandon. Look at what happened to Main. As he gets loose right in front of Jeff Barker, the two get together. So this is the only action we got, Jesse and Brandon. Let's take a ride for a lap here within the Brandon Mobile, or the Solace Mobile. Slide job Solace. Final lap though, underway for Bandy. Off at turn number 4, checkers wave. Bandy starting third tonight. Dittmer second, Main third, Barker fourth, Goldner fifth, Atkinson sixth, and Chapman seventh. When we come back, feature time. Don't miss out. 35 laps for the Renegades at the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Warm-ups continuing here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Joseph Grandy, quickest car on track. 13.94. Ross Corina second, 13.97. Blake Chapman third, 14.13. Jack O'Tay fourth, 14.26. And John Short fifth, 14.28. So we are ready to go for feature time here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's meet the field tonight and give you your starting lineup. 22 drivers on the grid. On the pole, the boss, Ross Corina in the 10 and Stephen Goldner in the 30. Row number 2, the Bandybuilt Master, Jesse Bandy in the 49 and John Short in the 51. Row number 3, the Goose, Jack O'Tay in the 11 and the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Row number 4, you've got Andy Pat in the General in the 87 and Dean Reynolds in the 79. Row 5, Rick Main in the 187 and Putt Putt Clay Christopherson in the 51. Row number 6, Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72 and the Bird to Beast Jeff Barker in the 513. Row number 7, Scott Rayholm, Slide Job Scotty in the 4 and William Watson in the 23. Row 8, Barry Goldner in the 36 and Stephen Fernberg in the 29. Row number 9, Bob DeGood racing in the 7 and the Pink Panther Jesse X in the 127. And in row 10, the High Side Banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39 and Gentleman Jack Hitt in the 217. Final row, the Salesman, Blake Chapman in the 20 and 100 grand, Joseph Grady in the 518. Time for picks to win on who we think is going to be the race winner here tonight. Well, Ross Corinna tonight is starting from the back. In fact, we've got two drivers starting from the rear, Joseph Grandy and Ross Corinna. Apparently same for Christofferson and Rayoma, I believe. Well, I was going to pick Corinna for my pick to win this season, but that just opened up. Give me the Vanderbilt Master, Jesse Bandy, to get it done. So we're one lap to the green flag as 22 drivers with cages of cold metal are set with rubber at the corners, set to do battle for 35 laps as the field makes their way into turn number 3. It's time to shake and bake, because where else would you rather be than right here, right now, from coast to coast? It's showtime at Charlotte. Slide job for the lead by Jesse Bandy. Steven Goldner counters it back as they're side by side through to turn 3. Goldner with another slide job. Bandy tries to crisscross off for turn 4. Goldner leads lap number 1. Side by side for the first 6 rows on back. Goldner another crisscross for the top spot. Two former teammates going at it for the race lead. Goldner big slider up on Bandy. The 30 clears and Goldner leads lap 2. Short third, Patton fourth, Cote fifth. Another slide job by the Vanderbilt Master. Quicker by 100th last time by. Bandy's cleared Goldner for the lead. Now he throws another slider to make sure Goldner doesn't use that slider line. Also increases some gap, but he hit the wall with the right rear. That cost him a little bit more time than he thought. Goldner, another slider. Pat's on the binders. Short in third. Here comes the general, Andy Patton, with a great start here in Renegades action in fourth. The best we've seen from him. Cote, low contact with Brandon Dittmer, 83, forced to lift. Goldner trying everything to get that race lead from Jesse Bandy, just not working. 3 wide off turn 4 here. Dean Reynolds stuck in the middle here. Zach Chapman underneath. Upstairs is William Watson in the 23. We got trouble. Patrick Spangler, for the second race in a row, has crashed. First caution flag flies here on lap number 6. The replays show you what happened to the driver, the number 39. Ooh, he ramped over Jack Hitt, and around he went. So no harm, no foul. Just bent the bumper bar, so should be good. So, should go 1 to green this time by, and we will. Don't forget, next Monday, for Monday Night Madness, we are at Outdoor Speedway for round 9 of the 12 race season. We're at 7 p.m. on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Hope you join us. First restart of the night here is we come back to green. Four wide for a moment with Colte and Patton in the middle. The general around the outside to bottom step of the podium. Nearly his. They're 4 wide again off turn 4 in the back of the field. Meanwhile, Bandy's pulled away from all of this mess. Goldner staying in second. Short shuts the door on Andy Patton. Here comes Maine. Contact with John Short. Stacks up. We were 5 wide in turn 4. Holy moly. How in the world did they survive that? Short gets sideways off in 2. He's down to 10th. 3 by 3 through 3 and 4. Everybody hanging on for dear life. Grandy contact with Dean Reynolds. And now we're wrecking. Reynolds, Patton, Barker. And up and over goes the 79 Yellow Waves. Well, Barker had nowhere to go in all of this. Ah, yeah. Bad contact with Corinna. And nowhere went the 79 either. So double file coming up here once again. And we'll watch for the aerial shot here. Jesse Bandy, Stephen Goldner, row 1. Chad Cote, Brandon Dittmer, row 2. Rick Main and Blake Chapman, where did he come from? He's already up to 6th in 10 laps. That's row number 3. William Watson, Zach Chapman, row 4. Ross Corritta, John Shore, round out the top 10. As we're ready to come back to the green flag here. 10 laps complete. Bandy and Goldner each hold serve. Dittmer's still stuck in 3rd. Let's see how Blake Chapman does. How many more spots does he gain? Past Rick Mandy goes for 5th here at the line. It's a his, just barely. Stephen Goldner wants the lead on Jesse Bandy. For the top spot. Slide job by Stephen Goldner. Crossover. Bandy saw that coming. The 49 still leads. 3 wide again for 3rd. Cote on the bottom step for now. But look at Rick Main go. Rolling deep downstairs. Still for the lead, Stephen. Slider. Bandy reads it again. And the wall goes to 30. And the wall again, around he goes. He clips Coretta. Oh, and Coretta got somebody else. I think, is that Dean? Yes, it is. And Scott Rioma's in it. Ending a phenomenal night. For the number 4 car for right now, he could use the quick repair too. Stephen Goldner just caught the wall and then everybody piled in. Tried everything to hang on to it, but the impact was just strong enough. And there you see Corinna. Ooh, and then I think that was the contact with Reynolds. Watch the 10. We'll go on board with Russ. Ooh, that was a big hit. Zach Chapman, John Short, Barry Goldner, Steven Fernberg. That was simply a big one. Believe this will be one to go and will be single file for the rest of this race. Oh, nope, this is going to be double file. Okay. So now move the Goose Chad Cote up to 2nd. Dittmer now third. Blake Chapman fourth. Rick Main is still in fifth. Here's the restart. 14 laps in. Bandy able to hold serve. Was that Golder Instant just what he needed for the win? Oh, we're back to caution. I'm not too sure for what. Oh, we got Rayoma again, and maybe Dean and Jeff, too. Now that will be the end of the night for Scotty. See what happened here on this restart. Ooh, Scott came down on Steven Goldner. That we have to watch from another angle. I don't want to put that all on Scott 100% just yet. Let's see. Yeah, that was very strange. And Scotty paid the price. And so did Dean Reynolds, right on board. Oh, nope, he was coming down to pit road, correction. So now we come back to green. Bandy leads Cote second, Dittmer third, Blake Chapman fourth, and Rick Main rounds out the top five. Main restarted on the outside. That may lead to a penalty for William Watson. Because he passed on the inside. And I don't think Williams going to be happy about one bit. Now May nearly puts him in the wall. A lot of weird stuff happening on that restart. But Blake Chapman now third. He wants second for the Goose. Jack Cote, the points leader. Going at it again. Look at all this wild racing going on here. Watson, Grandy, Christofferson. How about the 518? Grandy starting last. He's up to 8th. You also got Atkinson up 13 spots. He's in the 5th position. Obviously, Blake Chapman up 18 to 3rd. With the best laps of the track the drivers have ran right now is Chapman with the quickest car at the moment. But a 15 to go at the line. They are wing to wing through 3 and 4. Cote still edging out the salesman for second. But they're both staying, give them credit, both staying on the back of Jesse Bandy around a half second or so. Give credit to the way Cote is driving to the outside perfectly. Main and Dittmer now wing to wing. In the battle for 4th. Dittmer hanging onto the spot for right now. We got one up at the wall. Patrick Spangler once again. He's in the pits and done. No caution flag. We stay green. With 12 to go to Chapman. Running out of time on the bottom. He's still not giving up with it. Hoping he's got enough tires left. 3 wide mid-pack. Atkinson up the gut. Pit spot is his. Brandon Dittmer now fading. Was 4th at one point. Now he's down to 7th in the 83. Can he hang on for 10 more laps? Bandy's lead cut down to 0.3 of a second. Cote and Chapman, while they're racing, they're quicker. Steven Goldner now got reports that now he has crashed or is having netcode issues. Yeah, he's having netcode issues. In the 30. 9 to go. Chapman just leaning on the 11. Trying to force him into making a mistake. And now here comes Rick Main in the 4th spot. Cote edging out the 20 at the line. We're coming to 7 laps to go. Bandy trying to get back into victory lane. But this is still far from over. Bandy's lead back up to a half second on Cote and Chapman. Chapman trying once again. That low line just not working out. He's going to have to try a slider. There it is. Slide job from the salesman. And Cote reads it. Oh, hold the phone. The yellow waves. Oh, and Blake's going to hate this. It was for his teammate, John Short, who has flipped the 51. Slide job, caught the wall, rode the fence like Herbie, and up and over he went. Oh, and he caught Barry Goldner, too. So we will have a 5-lap shootout. And the cream may be starting to rise to the top here. This is going to be a hell of a shootout in the final few laps. Bandy, Cote, Chapman, Main, Atkinson, the top 5 as we come to the green flag. 5 laps to go. Here we go. A single file restart 2. What Bandy needs, because that's a freebie lap. Here goes Chapman again, trying for P2. Can he get it to work off for turn 4? No, but look at Rick Main. Hanging on to 4th spot for right now. Cote, can he clear Blake off for 2? Yes, he can. But now Blake back to the bottom. 3 laps to go at the line here. The Bandy Boat Master, Jesse Bandy. Cote still with Chapman cleared, but the salesman running out of time. 2 sticks of the urge to go. Rick Main up in the wall. That cost him 4th. Atkinson edging him out there. Great side-by-side battle on the track for the spot there. Off for turn 4 this time by white flag waves. Final lap for Jesse Bandy. Under 4/10 of a second. If Chad Cote wants his first win in the Renegades, he's going to have to go get it. Bandy with a big gap. Chad Cote trying to throw the kitchen sink. No, he stays up top. Off for 4. Jesse Bandy takes the win. Chad Cote in second. Blake Chapman, your biggest mover, in third up 18. Rick Main 4th and Jesse Atkinson 5th. But nothing to be ashamed out for Chad one bit. However, though, his 5th second place finish in the Renegades, first one since March. But man, we had some really phenomenal racing tonight. Bandy with a win by over 3/10 of a second over Cote. 16 drivers finishing on the lead lap. Heartbreak of the night, probably. You would have to say probably Stephen Goldner without question in the 30, although he recovered to finish 12th at least. These are the final two finishers for those wondering. So that is how the top three look. So, not ready just yet for your top three, but a reminder, Super Dirt Modified Week starts up tomorrow, 7 p.m. We'll have the call for you at Oswego right here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. All right, they're starting to come in. And we will start off with the salesman, Blake Chapman. Blake, a nice run for you tonight, but did it look like from your perspective that bottom side was just running out at the end?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it did me really, really well early on in the race. I was basically able to get up to third. They're running the bottom. No one else could really hug it down there the way I could. So we were able to pick off a lot of cars doing that. And the car was really, really fast early on. And then, yeah, that bottom started to go away. 1 and 2, we moved up, and it was still good in 3 and 4. And we were able to keep pace with Jesse and Chad there. And then I was just waiting for Jesse to pull away a little so I could finally pull a slider on Chad. And then we got the opportunity to do that. A caution came out, unfortunately. And then after that, I felt like that bottom of 4 was really, really going away on us there. We weren't getting the runs that we were before the caution came out. So unfortunately, we weren't able to, get above third place. But, coming from the back, I definitely take it. No incident points. I think it was a pretty good night for us.
I will give you credit, though. You and Chad credit, because before that final caution, while you two were racing for second, you were still closing in on Bandy at the same time.
Yeah, that's not exactly what I wanted to see. Of course, unless they went at a slider battle up top, then I might have been able to sneak around them on the bottom, because it would have been just good enough for me to do that. But, we were just kind of keeping pace here. We were all kind of running at the same speed, which definitely wasn't playing in my favor. But, overall, I thought it was a lot of fun. I felt like it was a decently racy track. You can move around in that bottom, middle, and top. So, that's all you can really ask for as a driver.
Sell some popcorn for us, who you want to give shout-outs to?
Absolutely. I got to thank the parents for watching. Got to thank all the boys down at KSR, especially Shorty for running with me tonight. I got to thank Preston at Epsilon Sprint Wraps, at Andy and AJ Custom Creations. I got to thank Steve at Steve's Custom Golf Clubs. Got to thank Malware Farm Management. And, of course, I got to thank Galen's Gourmet Popcorn. They have some very delicious popcorn. You can check it out for yourself. Head over to their website. And don't forget to use code CART, that's CART at checkout, for 50% off of some of their very delicious popcorn. Got to thank everyone involved in putting this league on, and I got to thank you for broadcasting, Marty.
Well, great job tonight. And guess what? He's running a modify later this week. Didn't see that one coming. Best of luck later this week, Blake.
Thanks, Marty.
So the salesman finishing in third. Let's go to the Goose, Chad Cote. A second place finish for him once again. Chad, what more did you need for Jesse?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I love running against Jesse. We've ran against each other for a long time. So, unfortunately, Charlotte, once you're at the top, that's where it is. Once you get off of it, you're losing positions by the boatload.
Yeah, without question, you absolutely are. But, you were able to take advantage of when Steven got the wall. We were able to restart second. I thought it was Bandy's race to lose, but I was just bringing this up to Blake. I'm going to give you credit here as well. While you two were battling for second before that final caution, you were closing in at the same time on Bandy.
Yeah, it was a double-edged sword, and it was fun, honestly. Like, I know Blake. We all know Blake. The guy runs the bottom so well, and for him to race me clean while I'm catching Bandy is why we run these leagues on Monday nights.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
All the guys over at All American Motorsports, our sponsors, Finish Line Race Designs, Boss Hog Off-Road, Bonehead Podcast, Equipment Geek, you guys for the broadcast, and Go Leafs.
Go Leafs, that's his prediction. He wants the cup. So, Chad, great job tonight, man. Hopefully we'll see you later this week.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
The Goose finishing second, Chad Cote. To victory lane we go to talk with Jesse Bandy in the 49. Jesse, a heck of a win. Congratulations. What a car you had from the heat race onward.
Yeah, thanks. We definitely missed qualifying, but that's all right. I didn't give me any laps in coming in, so I just kind of took a stab at it and totally missed the lines, but that's all right.
That was such
I felt my way after that.
Yeah, it definitely did. That was such a fun race between you and Steven in the opening laps before he hit the wall and kind of ended his day.
Yeah, I think he was probably a little quicker. Pretty confident on that. I just kept the pressure, and it's unfortunate he got on the wall, but I think it would have been him out in front if he didn't get into the wall.
Are we going to see you later this week for Super Dirt Modified Week, or are we going to see it, or are you going to wait till next week?
I'm not going to make her. I'm going to be out of town, so.
Gotcha. Well, next week, outdoor, how do you feel going on in?
I don't know. About the same as Charlotte. They're going to have some luck for sure. Big tracks aren't my cup of tea, but they're all right. I'd rather be on a short track.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
Everybody over at Phantom Motorsports, Velocity Race Designs, Bio.com, Dirt Doctor Trucking, and that's about it.
Well, congratulations on the win, Jesse. Way to go, and we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
The Bandy Built Master, Jesse Bandy, taking the win. First win of the season for him in coast-to-coast action. So that'll do it for us. Do not forget, later on this week, Super Dirt Modified Week begins Tuesday at 7 o'clock with qualifying, followed by heats. Wednesday, we got B-mains and pole scrambles. Thursdays, last chance qualifiers, and our championship. 75 lap, 358, 100 lap big block. You can still enter $10 for a division, 15 for two. We'll have it right here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Myself, Zach Chapman, and Robert Hill Jr. from Mohawk and Cornwall Speedways will be on the call. And a big shout to Dean Reynolds for setting all of this up. That'll do it for us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Thanks for joining us on behalf of all the drivers and the sponsors, our entire crew. I'm Marty Sakala saying so long. Congratulations to your winners, Brandon Templeton in Open 358s, Scott Rayoma, the Rebels, and Jesse Bandy and the Renegades. So long, everyone.